Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Ever wondered what happens when a Zoomer who grew up on the Clone Wars,
a millennial Anakin defender,
and a grumpy old Gen Xer walk into a cantina to talk Star Wars?
Then we've got the podcast for you.
Star Wars Generations is a place for fans of all backgrounds to come together, talk about why we love the franchise, and what we can learn from each other.
With so much new Star Wars content coming out, we take a deep dive into all of it. We talk stories and characters, what we learn about the Force and the Empire, Republics old and new, and how each story adds to the larger picture.
Besides episode-by-episode coverage of the new shows, we've been going back to watch the movies in release order. We talk about Star Wars novels and video games, along with fan content and cosplay.
And with each episode, we're just starting the conversation, and we hope you jump in. We'll read your feedback, answer your questions. We've even had full episodes dedicated to questions raised by listeners like you.
You can find us under Star Wars Generations on your favorite podcast app, or by going to theethicalpanda.com. May the Force be with you.
Now this is podcasting.
Hey there, true believers. Andy Nelson here from the Marvel Movie Minute podcast with the rest of the team.
Pete Wright, Kyle Olson, Rob Cabasco,
And Matthew Fox.
This is the podcast where we dissect the Marvel Cinematic Universe 1 minute at a time, exploring every detail of this epic superhero franchise.
In our season looking at Iron Man 3, we're going to mix things up a bit.
That's right, Rob and I are your guides, but instead of our usual minute-by-minute format, we dive into 5 minutes of the film in each weekly episode.
It's a totally new approach, but one that still allows us to explore all the depth and detail that makes these movies so special, even if Iron Man 3 isn't all that special.
Hold on, that's where you're wrong. Extremist, Shane Black.
Yeah, would you like to look at the Mandarin and Maya Hansen? Mm-hmm.
So whether you're a die-hard Marvel fan or just love deep dives into movies, there's something for everyone on Marvel Movie Minute.
Suit up and join us on this epic audio adventure. You can find us at truestory.fm or by searching Marvel Movie Minute on your favorite podcatcher.
Because in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, every minute is packed with excitement.
Enough said.
Keenan, do you know what homunculus means?
No, what homunculus means.
Homunculus. Like, what does homunculus mean?
I don't know. I don't know why we even...
It means tiny human being. And now I'm you can't see me, but I'm doing this really stupid, almost predatory shit-eating grin because I think I made a point. No, anyway, Homunculus, Goethe's Faust, Part 2, Act 2. Good morning, Star, and welcome to another episode of The Devil's Details, a show where we dig up, decipher, dissect, and deconstruct the many forms of the devil. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Keenan Diaz.
And we're just two lost souls hitchhiking down the highway to hell. All right, folks, we are in Act 2 of Part 2 of Goethe's Faust, which is the second Faust story that we covered.
That's right.
Yeah, Keenan had to correct me when we were doing our local recording right before this, because I said, I forget what I said, but I couldn't keep it straight in my head, right? Yeah. But so we opened, remember last time, we opened with our boys teaching the Holy Roman Emperor how to use paper money to solve all of the problems of the realm. And then after that, he decided to put on a show, specifically Trojan Explosion Volume 8, which he's had a lot of success with in the past. But put it on for the entire Holy Roman court.
Yeah, it was like Trojan Explosion, the live musical parody.
Yes. Right? I was going to say IMAX, but yeah. But right in the middle of it, Faust got the hots for the actual Helen of Troy, because he went down to the mothers to summon up Paris and Helen, and he rushes onto the stage. He rushes Helen. There's this big explosion, and that's the explosion was kind of the curtain, and then we have Mephisto carrying Faust away, talking about fools like this will even break a devil's back. Right? So yeah.
Paris has kidnapped Helen, and in kind of a funny reversal of that, then Mephis-Doubtfire kidnaps Faust over his shoulder as well.
Yeah, right? And he's and so now we are in. So now the next scene finds us in a high vaulted, narrow Gothic room. Hey, this is Faust's study. I remember this place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad we kept the sets from part one. That would have been very expensive.
Right? Yeah. So we're back in Faust's old study from his professor days. Remember those? And literally nothing has changed, right? It's like a time capsule, right? And Mephisto sneaks in from behind a curtain, and he finds Faust crashed out on his bed, totally lost in dreams about Helen. I was under the impression that that Mephisto was the one who kind of like laid him down there.
Yeah, I thought so, but then I think that's right.
Yeah,
but
okay.
we have both acts where we open up and Faust is in some kind of state of half sleep.
Are we missing something here? Like Dante fainting, Scrooge like swooning. Like, is that just how, Dr. Frankenstein witnessing the monster and then just, and then... Was that like a way for people to end chapters and begin chapters back then?
Yeah, I think so. I've looked at this mostly through a gender lens where it wasn't largely in like melodramas women would faint when, someone has come back and a woman faints or someone is upset at the party and a woman faints. And and so apparently in real life, women were fainting all the time as well. And I guess it's a little bit chicken and the egg. Like, did women just stop fainting at emotional news because stories stop saying that women should do that, right? Like there are some hypotheses that the fact that was expected of women, that they would faint like that.
So it would be so, like, it would be such a pervasive part of society that it would affect they would be like, oh, this is when I faint. Right.
Rather than, not that you were actively doing that, right?
Right.
But rather than like today, you'd be like, wait a minute, let's all slow down. What?
Right.
Like that's much more common. But in the old, there's like, I just can't have a conversation about this. I can't get more information. I would just faint like that. Yeah.
That is fascinating. I think we've talked about this before. It's like it just such a big part of literature and pop culture that it affects the actual life outside.
Right. Yeah. And so today, I don't think we think of fainting as being gendered necessarily.
No.
But I do think that there was a certain point. I thought that when Frankenstein faints, it's kind of a dig that he's feminine.
Oh, okay.
That's how I don't know, but I guess you can interpret it in a bunch of different ways. Yeah, but that he is this, he wants to see himself as God, the Father, Creator, but he's really more like Mother, the Creator, and doesn't really, he's like trying to deal with that gender confusion with him.
Well, I mean, not even that, because he can't take it. He just the goddess or the god, they, I have created, I've given birth, right? I've done that, right? And it's like he drew a picture and then he looked at it and he's like, ah.
Right.
Yeah. Virgil's like, Dante, this is hell. And he's like, no, we're not even in hell. This is limbo. These are all of my friends. And Dante's like, ah.
Time to take a little nappy nap.
Right? Imagine if that were still a part of pop culture literature. Luke, I am your. Oh no, don't you're on a precarious. Please don't. I knew this was going to happen. I wanted you to be sitting down when you. Oh God.
Please, you have one hand.
Yeah.
Who gave me the one hand, Father?
Oh, now you're calling me Father. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Well, regardless, we got Faust in his study, in his bed, and he's dreaming about Helen of Troy. Right?
Yeah. So I'm only trying to get ahead, by each chapter that we're covering, so I don't know where the whole thing is going. I'll find out over the course of the next couple of weeks, and I'm trying to avoid spoilers as I'm doing my research about what people think about the piece. Right? I did not understand that Helen of Troy being kidnapped was a plot point that would actually matter.
You mean in Faust?
Yeah. Because he's conjured Helen. He's gone down with the mothers, and then instantly she is taken away from him. Right. So apparently he is so in love with her and so taken by her that this is going to be at least the rest of this act is him trying to get Helen back. Right. Yeah. And that just was not anything that I thought would be important because they met for less than like 5 minutes.
Right. Less than a few seconds because it's like he sees her on the stage.
Right.
I'm a little bit surprised that Helen is kind of outshining Gretchen.
Yeah,
And people are like, other scholars are like, oh, this was the vision that he saw in the witch's kitchen in that magic mirror was it wasn't Gretchen, it was Helen.
Okay.
And Gretchen was like a distraction. And it was like, oh, he thought he met the love of his life in Gretchen. But no, it's just that Gretchen looks kind of like Helen of Troy, and he's really meant to be like destined to like be bound to Helen of Faust. From whatever century, the 16th century, is supposed to be with the Helen of Troy.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah. So this whole like making Helen more important than Gretchen, I can see this also as like a reason why they're like, let's not put this on. Let's not sully Helen of Troy's name with this weird German horn dog. Like, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just interesting. So, I mean, if that's part of his flaw is that he, wanted this thing so badly and now he's chasing after it despite it. And I'm saying it because, I mean, like his infatuation with, he's not in love with her. Right. He's in love with the idea of the most beautiful woman who's ever existed being made manifest by him.
Right.
By creating this woman. So, like, if that's part of the tragedy, then I could see that. Like, he is so obsessed with his power and his abilities to, conjure the most amazing woman who's ever existed that he's not really even seeing her as a real person, a real woman, but he's willing to go and like do all this crazy stuff. So
yeah, it's like she's his homunculus.
What's a homunculus?
What's a homunculus? Yeah, we're gonna see. Yeah. But yeah, so we got Mephisto now, and he's kind of like reflecting. He's looking around, and he's like, oh, and I love Toby Jones in the radio play. He's like, this is, it's like there's the actual pen that Faust used to sign his soul away to me, right? And it's like, hey, there's that old gown or whatever it is. Like I think he calls it like a rug or a mantle or something like that, right? That Faust wore. So now Mephisto takes it and he puts it on, right? And this is the thing that he used. This is the Mephis-Doubtfire costume that he had when he was messing with that student back in part 1. Remember?
Right.
For a split second, I thought that was the Marlowe version. We've been doing this for so long. I thought no. Him messing with the student was in the Marlowe. No, it wasn't. It was in this one. It was in part 1, right? Yeah. So he takes the gown down and he gives it a shake, and like a bunch of insects come, flying out, right? Some moths. It's like very cartoony, right?
Yeah, and they sing a little song for him, these bugs.
Yes, they do. Just
and,
like
go ahead.
Just like the flowers that the flower girls arrange sing a song to the flower girls. Again, how do you stage this?
Yeah, but I like that they come out and they're like, "Oh, thank you. We're the ones who are singing, but there are thousands of us left in this coat because it's so disgusting, and we see you as our master." And like,
yes.
They remember him from way back when, and now they're generations further on, and they see him like the man of old, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. These are our great grandparents. Like we're in this coat when you Mephis-Doubtfired that other student. Yeah.
Right. So I love that. I love. I'm getting used to how weird this section is, and how there's weird little singing. Everything sings.
It has become a cartoon. It's like it was like the last one was part 1 was a movie.
Right.
Okay. Marlowe's is a stage play. Faust Part 1 by Goethe is a movie. Faust Part 2 by Goethe is a cartoon.
Right.
That's what I'm putting out there. So he's waxing nostalgic, right? He wants to play Professor again. He wants to do the Mephis-Doubtfire thing. So he puts on the coat. He rings the bell, and who shows up? But this guy called a famulus.
Okay.
It's actually like a scholarly assistant. But his name is Nicodemus. Right, Nicodemus, who works for Wagner now. It's like 3 famulus. Nicodemus, Wagner. So Wagner is the new Faust. He's not a Dick or a Rafe. Right? Or a Robin. He's the new Faust now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. Why do you think that we don't start here in part 2? Like, why don't we start with like, hey, everything is where we left off, and we're in this like why is this Act 2? I wonder.
Oh, why is this Act 2 and not Act 1 of part 2?
Yeah, because it's a little weird. We've gone. It's like I guess that's kind of true, and I think like part 3, what do you call them? Episode 9 of Star Wars is the one that's all like, hey, nostalgia, like directly. Like the first one is like, hey, we're gonna do Star Wars again, like episode 4, but in all different things, right? Like we're gonna do it beat by beat, and it's gonna be really fun, but we're in new worlds or whatever. And then in Star Wars 9, we bring back Palpatine, and we see the Death Star somehow, right? That I thought was blown up or whatever. I don't remember exactly, but like it's like, hey, nostalgia, like let's just do the things from before,
right?
So it's a little out of order, you know.
Yeah, it's almost like the first one is like kind of like asking permissions, like trying is like, is this okay? Is this okay? Do you like this? Is this okay? Do you like this? It's like, she's on a desert planet. Is that all right?
right, exactly. Right.
Is this okay? Is that all right? Okay. All right. Star Killer? Okay. All right. Just checking. Right?
Yeah. So like, it's
New Order? New.
Yeah, so it's interesting that we start with the whole other thing, craziness going on there, and then here we're like, okay, now we're back to where we are comfortable. This is the sequel feeling stuff here,
right? Yeah,
like, let's catch up with all our characters, see how it is, and I do kind of like the idea that this Faust's study is the same as it was, and we're like, oh, why is that? And then maybe it's magic, but it turns out that really it's more sad. It's that Wagner has been keeping it the way it was when his master died, right? Because as far as he knows, he's dead.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And I like that we're gonna get that reveal in just a moment. But like we find that first you hear that like Wagner is the new Faust, right? He's the new scholar who's teaching everybody. He's the new professor, and you think, oh man, Wagner pulled a he pulled a Scar, and he's like, he's the new king, and he's like, abusing the power and everything. But no, he's very like, he took up the mantle, and he's like distraught over the death of his old master.
Right.
All right, and that's what we find from this Nicodemus guy. So Mephisto is talking to Nicodemus, and and Nicodemus is like, oh no, Wagner's like super humble about everything. He's still really torn up about Faust disappearing, right? He prays all the time for him to come back, right? And so Mephisto tells this guy, take me to Wagner, but Nicodemus is like, oh no, Wagner's in the middle of this huge project, and he's not seeing anybody. Nobody can see the Wagner, right? But Mephisto's like, no. Like he'll see me. Like I'm the one who can help him, right? It's almost like he already knows like what Wagner's up to. Wagner's doing some Mary Shelley shit. That's what he's doing.
Right.
It's like I'm the one who helped. I'm the one who helped make him successful. I don't think that's true, Mephistopheles. by offing Faust. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's right. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Well, anyway.
Wagner, I guess so, because Wagner became who he was because he was learning from Faust, who got all this magical powers, right? He kind of sneaks off and is like, oh, now I've seen the master become this super sorcerer, so I'm doing that by osmosis.
Maybe. Wasn't that in the Marlowe one, though?
I don't think Wagner's in Marlowe.
Yeah, he is.
What?
He absolutely is.
No.
He totally is. See, you're mixing it up just like I'm mixing it up.
Wait a minute.
Wagner is like the chorus. He's the voice. He's the one who puts
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. And the Raven Robin and all that, that's in the Marlowe one.
Yes.
It's very Elizabethan.
Right, because we were mixing up. We thought Wagner was going to be the Ray for the Robin.
Oh my God. Wait. So is there any Wagner in Goethe? That's a Gretchen and all of them.
No, yes. In part one.
Jesus.
Yes. No. See, in part one, Wagner comes in and he's still Faust's assistant,
right.
But he's like. He's trying to impress him. He's like the Robin to Faust's Batman. He's like, well, gee, Faust, I wish I was as smart as you, right?
That's right. I'm conflating the two Wagners. Okay.
Yeah.
Never
right?
mind.
You never. And the first Wagner was already conflated. Yeah. With all the Robins and the Dicks and the Wraiths.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now this Wagner has become the new Faust, and that's what's going on.
Right. Robin has become Batman, which happens in some versions of Batman. Yeah.
Sure. Right.
Batman. Beyond?
Sure.
Yeah. Right?
Yes. Let's say that. Let's put that out there.
No. Robin becomes Batman in Batman Beyond.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. No. I think so. It's like it's a young Batman. Yes, I believe. I'm seeing it in my head. It's a younger Batman, and Bruce Wayne is all old, and Kevin Conroy still voices him, and it's great.
Yeah. I believe so.
Yeah. Okay, so
So in Batman Beyond, the TV show, it's not literally that a Robin has become Batman. That's not what I mean. It's a young Batman who succeeds to the new Batman while the old Batman is still around.
Right.
Great. Okay.
Yes. Just as confusing as Goethe's Faust versus Marlowe's Faust. Right.
Oh, right, great.
Yes. So, right, because that Robin was a dick. He was Dick Grayson.
He's Dick Grayson, yeah.
Yeah, right. See, it all makes sense if you're crazy like us, folks. Okay, but now this is great. Remember that student from part 1 that Mephisto Mrs. Doubtfire, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's back and he's got his degree. I guess they call it a baccalaureate or a bachelorette, maybe.
Yeah.
That was And he comes in while Mephisto's wearing the professor coat, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
And he's ranting about
in it.
Yes, right. That love him. And he's talking about how his whole education was just a bunch of lies that old people tell young people, right? Lies they don't even believe themselves.
Right.
And Mephisto's like, you know what? You're not wrong. What we've been calling knowledge isn't really knowledge at all, right? And this guy goes off on this whole thing about how, old age is just, frozen impotence and, only youth has any real power and freedom. And then he storms out, right? I like that. I don't think this student who now has his degree has ever actually met the real Faust.
Right.
Because Mephisto was posing as Faust the first time they meet, and he gives him that bad advice.
Right.
And then he comes back and he's like, Professor, I took your bad advice and this is, it's like, it wasted my youth and I should have known that youth was the only thing that was worth anything, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it's Mephisto again posing as Faust, right? So he never actually gets to see Faust.
Right. He's Mrs. Doubtfire, right?
Yes, absolutely.
No!
Yes. And so after he leaves, Mephisto's like,
this guy, has gone out and he's been worried about all the wrong things. He's been worried about knowledge when he should worry about living life. She's worried about drive-by fruitings that around any corner you could just be fruited in a drive-by.
He should have, settled down and had a family with kids. Kids are like heir to you. to have a bachelorette and not have kids. I mean. So that was the old student gets a degree and he quote unquote thanks Mephisto Faust for that, right? Yeah. And that's it. And that's that scene. And then we get the laboratory.
Hold on.
What?
He thanks Mephis-Doubtfire.
Mephis-Doubtfire. Thank you for interrupting me. If we had passed that up, listeners would be so angry at us.
So angry.
They would be livid. It's like Lester and Keenan. There is no Mrs. Doubtfire minute. We have to get all of our jokes from here.
That's right.
Yeah. But no. So our next scene is in Wagner's. I think this can only be properly pronounced laboratory.
That's right.
Right? It's it's spelled the same, but Professor Bunsen, Bunsen and Beaker, they're in a laboratory, right? Mm-hmm. And Dexter's in a laboratory,
He's in a laboratory, right?
But he calls it a laboratory, right? But Wagner is in a laboratory.
Absolutely.
Right? It's kind of old-timey, steampunky. It's kind of natural philosopher, science cusp, on the fringe of that, right?
Right. It's a physics lab and a chemistry lab and a bio lab all in one, right? Because he's got little vials of things, but he's also probably learning about electricity and everything he can possibly do. Yeah.
Right. And the vials are especially vile, right? Spelled the other way, right? Yeah. And so we got Wagner and he's standing by the hearth, right? And he's super excited because in one of these vials is his magnum opus.
Okay.
Right. It's glowing like an ember. And Mephisto comes in and he walks over to Wagner and he's like, and Wagner's like Wagner doesn't even care who this is. Right. He's just excited to show. It's like behold, a man is being made. Right. And I love Toby Jones' response. It's like, oh really? You've got some amorous couple stuffed away in the chimney flue or something, Is that how you're doing it?
He's assuming that Wagner has a man and a woman making love, which is very funny. Note that he doesn't assume that Wagner would be making love to a woman.
Right. He's like, I'm making a human being, and it's like, really? It's you got a couple like doing the nasty somewhere.
Right. Not that anyone would ever do that with you.
Yeah, Wagner. We know you, Wagner. Right. But no, he's referring to this little vial. He says in the vial, like he's creating this this life, right? And the vial starts shaking, and then it gets cloudy, and then it clears up. And the whole time, Wagner's like, "Oh, it's getting cloudy. Oh, it's cleared up. Oh, it's getting cloudy." And Wagner thinks he has done it.
Right.
And then inside the vial is this tiny little humanoid creature called a homunculus, right? Or that's also, I think, his name. He's a homunculus called Homunculus.
Right.
Right? This is Latin for little human, by the way. Take that, Charlie Kirk. You idiot.
What's that about?
You don't know what that's about?
I know who Charlie Kirk is. I think he's not a very nice person. Yeah, okay. But I don't know.
For anybody who hasn't seen it, so there was recently a debate, I think. It was one of those like speed debates where you kind of like it's like speed dating where you kind of like rotate or and so somebody comes up into the center and sits to debate Charlie Kirk, and I think it was about like a bunch of things, but I think the topic for that one was women's health care, specifically for abortion. And this very educated woman sits down and immediately Charlie Kirk like interrupts her and is like, what does fetus mean? And she's trying to answer him, but she's like, what? I don't know. Like it was such a weird putting her on her back foot strategy that he was doing, right? And he just keeps. It's like, what does fetus mean? What does fetus mean in Latin? And she's like, that doesn't matter. That doesn't apply to what we're arguing. And then he interrupts her again. He's like, it means tiny human being. And after he says that, and you can Google image it, folks. It's the weirdest proud of myself, gleeful, but also almost like predatory, weird shit-eating grin that he does, right? And artists have already rendered it, for all the world to see. But that's not what fetus means.
Yeah.
Fetus does not mean tiny human being.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because there's every animal has a fetus. Every mammal and bird and everything has a fetus.
Yeah, and so folks' favorite response to that now is okay, what is a dolphin fetus then? Right? Does that mean dolphin tiny human being? That's
And then even if it did, that's that doesn't matter because
right.
We name these things in Latin that have nothing to do with anything anymore.
Yeah, right. So even that even if he was right, even if if it did mean tiny human being, what does that how does that help your argument, buddy?
Right.
So
okay.
Idiot. Anyway, homunculus means tiny human being.
Oh, that's interesting to know. Okay,
there you go. Yeah,
I got you. I think I'm caught up in the joke now.
Now that I've explained it,
oh, that whole idea, you should not debate those people who are debate me or you're too afraid to debate me. They put so much stock in debates and they want to say it's the marketplace of ideas and the best idea wins, but that's not. No. They're conflating two different types of debate. Right. High school debate is not how you get at truth at all.
Right. Yeah.
And they train you in high school debate to defend the indefensible, right? That's part of how you become good at that is hey, it doesn't matter what you actually believe or what the right answer is. You're going to make an argument for this or that, and then you're getting points not just in how well you support your logic. You get some points for that, but it's also about how you comport yourself and rhetorical flourishes and all that stuff, right?
Right.
But that's
and
not
putting
how
the
you
opponent on the back foot and kind of messing them up. It's somebody said it, and I was like, "This is brilliant." They're treating it like a sport.
Right, exactly, right.
And they win. It's I win the debate. It's no, that's not your...
Well, you can win the debate, but that doesn't mean that your idea is correct.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, the way to really have ideas in the marketplace and fight them out is through reading each other's papers and not through, flourishes like this, WWE-style debates.
Right.
Right.
Oh, and he brought out the tiny human being thing. Oh, it's like a chair. How will she recover? From that god awful smile.
Yeah, you should not debate these people. They're not really debating.
Because it is all about winning. It's like a contest. It's like a sport. It's I won, yay!
Right.
It's that's not the whole reason you have, that's, the whole reason you have an argument with like one of your, friends or a loved one or something like that is because you want to come to an agreement. You want to come to some kind of like understanding, right? And the same thing with a debate. You want to come to a shared truth. You want to find like the objective truth, right? And you're just like, well, I have half of the, the puzzle pieces and you have half of the puzzle pieces. Let's debate and then we'll figure out the whole puzzle. And then, hey, maybe both of us are right and both of us are wrong. Maybe one of us is right and one of us is wrong. It's not like whether I'm wrong or right, I'm going to be right.
Right.
That's like modern debate. Like I want to win something. Like you don't win anything if truth is not discovered.
Yeah, and you lose by saying things like, "Well, that's really interesting, Charlie. I'm going to have to think about that and come back to you."
Yeah.
And then you lost. You lost the debate. I'm going to go, you told me some interesting things. I'm going to read about who you've been reading and see what I think about that. Like right now, that doesn't feel right to me, but I'll look into it. I'll let you know.
So in essence, like it's counterproductive to like finding an actual truth.
Great.
Yeah. But
anyways, you all know that.
Yes. Not to mansplain about, Yeah.
All right. Now I get your joke. Great.
Great. And I'm going to keep all of it in. Anyway, but yeah, so inside the vial is the homunculus, right? It's a homunculus called Homunculus. And he's making these delicate little movements, and he talks, right? And it's calling Wagner Daddy. And it's really eager to get to work right away. That was another thing in the they do this weird kind of like filter where they kind of like and they also like make the voice a little bit high pitched in the radio play. And the homunculus is like, okay, well now that I'm born, I need to do things. Let's get set me to work, right? Almost like a genie that's like that wants to be told wishes.
Yeah, sure.
Right. And Mephis was like, okay, let's see what you can do. Like, why don't you go check on Faust over there, right? So this little glowing, vial person. I imagine it's always in the vial, right? It's in the bottle, right?
That's what. Yeah, most of the early dialogue blocks of his say in the vial.
Okay, all right. So he's in the vial
when he gets out. So maybe he's always in there. I guess.
I don't think he can get out. I think if he gets out, he dies. I think.
God, that's a terrible
existence. I think that's the homunculus lore. Is that like they're either trapped in there or
So it's a whole it's a whole thing. I didn't look up homunculus lore.
Yeah, I think because I'm just remembering from like another story where there was a homunculus.
See. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. So he's a little person in a jar.
Yeah, right.
In The Bride of Frankenstein, Dr. Pretorius has little homunculi. I don't know if they use that word, but there's a tiny king and a tiny queen, and then the tiny Jack who's trying to get with the queen, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And they're in bottles the whole time.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think that's part of the homunculus lore.
Yeah. There was in some video I was looking again. I'm trying hard to like only go act by act, but there was some video maybe on a Course Hero or something like that where they have little animations of what's going on, and they're like Mephistopheles can't really see the homunculus because he's so small. So yeah, what I know it's like an impossible play to stage, I suppose, but like, do you think that the homunculus is just off stage the whole time and it's the voice, or
I don't know. See, again, there's like people's like, why don't they ever stage this one? It's like we're in Act 2 and we found like what 3 impossibilities. How do you actually stage this?
Yeah, we have an even more impossible character near the end of this, Proteus. Yeah. But Homunculus is a huge character. It seems like he's going to be around for a while.
He's a huge character. Oh, but I'm glad, actually, you reminded me, in the radio play, I really like, he does say, it's like, well, that's just the fate of us magical creatures. The world is too small to contain us, so we have to be in this bottle, is what he said.
Okay.
Or something, like something along those lines. And I like the idea of him saying that, like he's the tiny person, right? In this bottle, but he's saying he is that way because the world is has like too small of an imagination to hold him.
That's great.
Yeah. Right. So he's checking up on Faust, right? And he's somehow able to like read his dreams, and of course Faust is dreaming about Helen, right? And with all these like romantic woodland, springs and swans and everything like that, right? And Homunculus is like, well, we can't, let him wake up here in this gross moldy room after dreaming about, all that beauty. Like it would crush him. We got to get him out of here. And so then Homunculus suggests that they take Faust to something called a classical Walpurgis Night, right? I almost said Nacht, right? But and Mephisto's like, oh no, we already, Mr. Homunculus, we already did a Walpurgis Night in Act 1,
Right.
And Homunculus is like, no, like I'm talking about a classical one, right?
Yeah,
Which
I thought
is
that
weird.
meant like this one's classic, bro.
Yeah, right.
That's what I thought there. It's totally epic. But no, they mean it in the literal sense, it turns out.
Yeah, and Homunculus explains that, Mephisto, but he specifically calls him Satan here. He's like, oh, Satan. He also calls him cousin. Right? He's like, oh, cousin, you're here too. Like, when he first wakes up, after being born, right? He's like, oh, it's like, here I am. And, he calls Wagner daddy. And then Mephisto laughs. And he's like, oh, you're here too, cousin. And again, it's that mixing of like it's as if all of the mythical beings in all of the pantheons are like related.
Well, maybe all the evil ones are.
Maybe. Well, I didn't know if homunculi were evil or not.
Well, this one is.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like he just wants to be a real Pinocchio, I think.
Well, Pinocchio is evil.
Yeah, well, okay. All right, we can all agree on that.
Yeah, when you're like, hey, Pinocchio, you can do whatever you want. And he's like, I want to drink beer and throw Molotov cocktails and play pool and
Yeah. Hey, Pinocchio, here's a social media platform where you can say whatever you want.
Pinocchio, no!
But yeah, so Homunculus explains that Satan, Mephisto, is more into the Northern European Walpurgis Night with all its doom and gloom and sin. But classical Walpurgis Night is down in Greece, and it's a whole different vibe, and it's all about classical mythology and sensual pleasure rather than horror and evil. And Mephisto's kind of like skeptical at first, but then Homunculus mentions that there'll be Thessalian witches there, and suddenly Mephisto's very interested. And so he's like, okay, let's go, right? So they make a plan, and Wagner's going to stay behind and be, do his mad scientist thing, right? While Mephisto and Homunculus and the sleeping Faust, go to another Walpurgis Night.
Right. As far as we can tell, he passed out when Helen was stolen from him, and he has not woken up since. And he will not wake up until he steps foot in Greece. Like, like his foot touches the soil of Greece.
Yeah. So imagine that, right? Like he rushed Helen on stage, big explosion, he faints, and he wakes up in Greece.
Great.
I mean, yeah. Right?
So he never experiences all this nostalgia of being back where it started.
No. That's just for the devil.
Right. Yeah. And the devil is like, here's the pen that he wrote in his own blood. all that stuff. And
he's like, oh, there's still a little bit of blood coagulated. And
right.
Yeah.
But I guess I'll just tell Faust about that later.
Right. Or not. This is for me.
Right.
Yeah. So we're in this place. This is scene 2 of Faust Part 2, Act 2. So this is, I don't know, any numerological people, like maybe this is like important or something, but yeah.
Chuck Woolery fans, yeah.
Sure, yeah. Right? Did you say charcuterie?
A Chuck Woolery.
Oh. You know what charcuterie means? It means tiny human. No, it doesn't.
It means cutie sharks.
Yes, it does, right? We all know that. But yeah, okay, so we're in this place called the Pharsalian Fields, and it's August 9th. And this is significant because this is where, way back in 48 BC, Julius Caesar defeated Pompey in his huge battle during the Roman Civil War.
But actually, I think it's Pompey as opposed to
Damn it,
Pompey.
Yes, you corrected me before on another episode. I can't remember.
Okay.
I keep on just wanting to say Pompey.
Yeah, sure.
Because Pompey sounds so...
Pompey sounds like a wuss.
Yeah. Right. It's Pompey, right?
Right. Julius Caesar.
And me, Pompey. Because kind of like from behind his robe, right? He's like the painter, the panic. He's like, me. Right? Yeah. So this was the Roman Civil War, right?
Okay.
So yeah, so standing over all of this is this Thessalian witch named Erictho.
Okay.
Now we remember Erictho, folks.
We remember.
Who doesn't remember Erictho?
We remember Erictho. Why don't you tell the folks about what we both remember about Erictho?
No, I remember that name. I remember that name from Dante's Inferno. What was it? Virgil was telling Dante, Now I've only had to do this once. It was I've only been down to the last circle of hell once, and it was when I had to do a job for Erictho. Or something like that. I think that's what he said. Virgil mentioned Erictho offhand, saying that like I've only been like a spiritual guide one other time.
Right. Okay.
And it was to help Erictho or something like that.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah. So now we get to meet Erictho, right? And yeah, she's getting ready for tonight's big celebration, our big Walpurgis night. I don't think it was called Walpurgis. I think Goethe is calling it Walpurgis night because Walpurgis night is a German thing. I don't think the ancient Greeks called it Walpurgis night.
No, absolutely not.
No,
they didn't know who Saint Walpurga was.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So of course,
because he wasn't born yet.
Yes.
Right.
So when the homunculus is like, oh yeah, classical Walpurgis night, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's like I don't know, like you would see on a Saturday morning thing in October today. It's like, oh, let me take you to a classic Halloween party. And they're talking about like Samhain or something like that, right?
Oh, I thought classic was bobbing for apples and cider and that kind of thing.
No, we got to go way back.
Pomby, what are you doing here?
Yeah. So we got Erictho. She's getting ready for the party. She's got some thoughts about humans, basically that we can't even rule ourselves properly because we're always trying to control each other, and how there's always bigger fish, just like how Caesar took out Pompey,
and then how Caesar was taken down by Boss Nass.
Exactly.
And then how Boss Nass was taken down by the bigger fish.
Right. Exactly. Right. And then Erictho spots this bright light zooming through the night, and she's like, "Oh no!" And she bolts. Right. It's like a lightning bolt. Yeah. This is a bright light. So,
is it a pun?
That was my pun.
That's a pun. Oh, I see. Okay, great.
But yeah, so that's and the bright light, folks. That's our homunculus, right? He's still in his vial, and then we got Mephisto and Faust. I don't even know why we're counting Faust in this quest. This is like Faust is being like Frodo right now.
Right.
Just like there's another one who faints all the time.
Yeah,
I will take the ring to Mordor.
Of the movie. Yeah. The end of the movie is him waking up to see his friends there, and friends are like, "We solved it," and he's like, "Really? Come in bed with me, right?" And then all four of the other hobbits come in to bed together. Yeah,
right. One falls off and breaks his head, and Gandalf is like, "You shall not jump on the bed." All right. But yeah, okay, so they get to Greece, right? This is Mephisto, Faust, and Homunculus, right?
Right.
And they decide to split up. How do you split up with Faust being still asleep? I don't know.
That's a good point. And if Homunculus is really as tiny as I now understand after reading this, like it's really impossible for me to be reading this and like seeing someone who's in a bottle who you can barely see, if at all. So I keep seeing a full-sized person. Right.
Yeah. I kept imagining like that Mephisto was holding the bottle,
right.
And anytime that Homunculus wanted to say something, it's like oh hello, like that.
Okay, yeah, but sometimes Mephistopheles is doing things with his hands, as we'll see with some of these witches. So I don't know where that puts Homunculus.
It puts Homunculus in a place. Let me tell you, he's doing things with these witches. No, anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, so they decide to split up, and that leads to some crazy encounters. So Mephisto is looking for some action, and he runs into these griffins who are really into like etymology and names, right? Like they think words actually sound like what they mean, right? And then he meets the Sphinxes, who can totally tell he's like uncomfortable in pagan Greece, right?
But like they're into that. They're into how uncomfortable he is.
Yes, right. He's like, yes. It's like step on me, Sphinxes. You got 4 feet. It's great.
Oh yeah. Were Sphinxes always women? Or just these versions?
Not knowing the lore of Sphinxes, I've only seen women Sphinxes.
Oh, okay.
Like in the Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio.
Right.
Those are Sphinxes.
All right.
And then the Sphinx with the riddle is also a woman.
Right. The Great Sphinx, I guess. Like,
right.
In Egypt is a woman.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. Well, where do baby sphinxes come from then?
Okay, Charlie Kirk.
That's the meanest thing you ever said to me.
No, I take it back.
No, but anyway, so these are women for sure, and he's even like, the top half of you scares me, but the bottom half,
right?
He's really into him.
Wait a minute. Okay, now I feel stupid. Like, wait. Are they not what I imagine?
A sphinx?
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they totally are.
Oh, yeah. You're overthinking it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's fine with that. He's the devil. He's okay as long as
okay.
doesn't matter.
That's the joke. He's like,
yeah.
I don't like the women half of you, but those lion haunches.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Exactly.
Hello.
Yeah.
I was like, for a second, I was like, did I get it wrong? Am I like, did like, because isn't that what happened with mermaids? Is like they swapped it. It's like it was supposed to be like lower body of people and the heads of fish. Or no, maybe I'm wrong. No, I cut all this out.
That's the right. That's the weird thing about if you're thinking about like sailors and pirates out there in the open sea missing women that they would want to make love to, make sweet love. They make love.
Yeah,
that's
just somebody to hold.
That's what the sailors want, is to make love. Right? Yeah. They need the bottom half being a woman and the top half as a fish doesn't matter. But
right.
Instead they have the opposite. Yeah, because they're really romantic at heart and they just want to talk to.
Yeah, I just want to tell somebody about my love for Star Wars. And you see, before the sequels, there were this string of books, and every character in the cantina had a story. And if you just said, I lost another one.
Right.
That's where the one that got away comes from.
That's right.
It's all these lonely sailors just trying to explain Futurama to,
That's right. I once caught a fish this interested in matchbook card collecting.
No, you see, Samwise is really the hero in the...
Oh, yeah. He's a lot like Cameron and Ferris Bueller. Respect. Arr, yar. I be listening to a podcast the other day.
I be making a podcast the other day.
Oh, let's get out of here.
Yeah. Whoa.
Jeez.
We almost got trapped in the sea. But no, not the sea ruled by sea creatures, but by men. It's like the seven seas. The scariest place of all. Anyway, but yeah, okay. So
anyways, he's kind of into it, and it's really fun to see Mephistopheles being horny on main, but also like afraid of these women, and not necessarily because they're monsters, because they're women. Is how I sort of read this. Yeah,
and he's out of his element as well. Like so it's twofold, right? It's the devil being in an older, more ancient kind of like being surrounded by like older, more ancient like myths and religiosity figures, right? So he's part like he's left the the safe world of Christianity where he's the big bad, and now he's in ancient Greek mythology.
Yeah,
and then on top of that, like, because a lot of these older pagan religions, quote unquote pagan, right? Because of a lot of these older, and lasting longer religions had a lot of women in power. He's also kind of like put off by that.
Yeah,
Put off and turned on. Yeah.
Really fun. Really fun.
Yeah, right. And it's great to see the devil being like, I'm not sure about this, right?
Right.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Faust is loving his new life is in Greece, right? He's all pumped up by how grand everything is, even the the mundane stuff, right? He's like, oh, that's a trash can in Greece.
Here they call them bins. It's crazy.
Yes. I remember Ian, when he went to Japan, like he was like, look, like a street in Japan, and he sent us this photo, folks, and it was just you see the tips of his feet, and it's just like this gravel or asphalt, like, and it's like that you can't, like, the joke being that you can't tell that he's in Japan. Yeah. But I imagine that's how Faust is. It's like, oh look, there's a guy peeing in Greece.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's loving it, but he's still obsessed with Helen, right?
Right.
And he's
And
dead
Helen's
set on
from
finding
Greece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's like, this is, remember when he was like in Gretchen's room and he was like, oh, this is where her ass sat. And this is where
right.
this was her bed where her ass was also,
Right.
And now he's like, I'm in Greece. This is where Helen maybe walked, possibly. I don't know. Greece is really big, but
Right.
Yeah. And so he asks the Sphinxes if they have seen Helen, right? And they're like, you should talk to Chiron about that. Right? And the sirens try, and then there's also sirens, and they're trying to tempt him. It's like, no, don't talk to Chiron. Come and talk to us. We will, please tell us more about Emperor Palpatine.
And how you would have done it differently.
Yes. We'll fall all over your new screenplay. Look, I have my phone out right now. I'm ready to subscribe to your podcast. Right. But no, he's having none of that, right? He's got Helen on the brain, right? And Mephisto, on the other hand, is done with the sirens. After insulting them, because of course he does, he starts checking out these lamiae. These are like snake women hybrids who eat children, apparently.
Okay.
Right?
That's totally... he has a type, let's say.
Yes, right? He's into lion legs or no legs at all, right? Now, like we were in our Lilith episode, Keenan, you were talking about like how you were introduced to the character of Lilith in the Final Fantasy series.
Right.
And you said she was like the snake lady.
Yeah, like a snake slug, just discussing, yeah.
Yeah.
Wrapping herself up, right?
Yeah, and I Google imaged Final Fantasy Lilith. Hang on, let me just do it again to make sure. Wait, which Final Fantasy was it?
Oh, geez, it must have been 2 or 3, we would say back in the day.
Oh, okay, so I'm going to say 4.
Yeah, so 4, yes.
Yeah.
That's the Lilith I remember, yeah.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, folks, if you Google image Final Fantasy IV Lilith, right, that, I believe, is a Lamia.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Putting vocab to my childhood fears.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Although this one seems like it's kind of like breaking the rules. It's like, because it's like, oh, the downside of a sexy snake lady is you don't, but like, I don't know, looking at this picture, you can kind of have the bottom of a snake and also the bottom of a person too.
Yeah, she got all sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. But yeah, so that's a Lamia, and that is what Mephisto's into. Yeah, he likes those bottom halves like snake or lion or whatever.
Whatever.
Right? Yeah. Right. But yeah. But so as Mephisto is off with these female mythological beings, Faust finds this river god hanging out with some nymphs, and they invite him to chill for a bit. And it's exactly like that dream that he had back in his study, right? All these woodland springs and these swans and everything, right? And then this centaur named Chiron, right? That's Chiron. And Chiron, I think we said this in the Dante episode, but Chiron was also supposed to be this famous teacher of all the Greek heroes, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so he offers Faust a ride, right? And they're having this nice chat about Greek heroes. And Faust is, again, it's like this self-insert with Chiron, with Dante. It's like I'm getting to meet all of these heroes. Like I'm just like Virgil and Ovid and Lucan and all of these great thinkers, says Dante. And now Faust is like, oh my gosh, I'm just like all those Greek heroes that you taught because I'm writing you.
Right.
Yeah. So he's talking to Chiron, and Chiron just casually drops that Helen once rode on his back, just like Faust is doing now.
Yeah, holding on to his hair, just like Faust is doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like Helen's ass was here, right?
Exactly. This is, it was Gretchen's ass was in this seat. Gretchen's ass was in this bed. Helen's ass was, I don't know, somewhere in Greece, but now I know specifically it was on Chiron's ass.
Right.
Right? And so Faust completely loses it at this news, and Chiron's like, look, for a mortal, you're pretty heroic, which that's weird to say to Faust. Chiron, I thought you were smart. I don't know. But in the spirit world, you're acting kind of crazy, is what he says. It's like, so I mean, I'm taking that to be, it's like, I don't know how you you seem like a very distinguished, like well-respected person, back on Earth, but here we do things differently. I think is what he's trying to say, right? And he decides to take Faust to this healer named Manto, and Faust's like, but I don't need healing. But it's too late. They're already at Manto's temple at the foot of Mount Olympus. Okay, so Manto takes one look at this guy, and she's like, I love this guy. He wants the impossible, right? He's a perfect epitome of manhood, just whining and asking for things all the time. And never satisfied, right? And she offers to take him down to Hades to find happiness, right? Which, okay.
As in, we're going to take you down to hell, and that's where you'll be happy.
Yes.
He's already been to the Christian hell, I guess, and then he's been to wherever the mothers exist in, which is.
Wait, has he been to the Christian hell? I don't think he's gotten to the Christian hell.
Wasn't he dragged to hell at the end of Act?
I think he was getting dragged to hell. Because I just edited that episode and I was listening to it. I think we misunderstood.
Okay.
I think in the opera, because that is where it ends. Goethe. With the Gretchen arc, is Gretchen goes up and Faust goes down, dragged into hell. I think
yeah.
Because they broke into her jail cell and was like, quick, I'll help you get out, And she's like, no, I choose God. God saves her.
Redeemed.
Yes, redeemed. And Mephisto drags his prize down to hell. And that's how the opera ends, I think.
Yeah.
Now, we got the same story in Goethe's Faust. But I think what happened in there was they broke in, and he's like, I'm going to rescue you. She's like, no, I choose God. And then Mephisto comes in. It's like, no, we got to get out on these flying horses. Like, hurry! These flying horses they got a curfew or something. And Gretchen says no. She goes up to heaven, and rather than drag Faust down to hell, Mephisto just grabs him by the ear and it's like, I said, let's go.
Yeah, I guess that's what this says here. He disappears with Faust.
But not to hell.
But come on.
I know. No,
if you were staging it without doing act or part 2, right?
Right.
You'd totally be that he got dragged down to hell, right?
Well, yeah, if there was no part 2, then Mephisto grabbing him and pulling him off stage has me understanding, okay, now he's in hell.
Yeah, absolutely. But instead he's just been dragged to that meadow for 3 years or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that is a choice.
Yeah. So, I mean, for all we know, that's how Goethe wrote it, before he spent, however many years.
60 years.
On part 2, right?
Right.
So then Mephisto drags him off stage down to hell. And then 10 years later, he wakes up in the middle of the night. Or does he? No, it wasn't to hell. It was to Wittenberg, and then from there to ancient Greece.
All right, so I guess that's what's going on. We've
yeah,
it feels like a retcon to me. It feels like we've retconned it that wasn't him being dragged to hell. But
yeah,
okay,
yeah. I mean, I kind of think that is what happened.
Okay, all right.
Is like I think it's Goethe putting a little pinky to the corner of his mouth, and it's like, I said he dragged him away. I never said where. All
right, yeah, I think you're right. In the plain text, it does not say he's dragged to hell. It doesn't say any fire or anything like that. Just he disappears.
Yeah, yeah. So now he's here, and
anyway, so now, this Manto is saying like you're going to go to Hades, which is the Greek hell.
Right, which is the Greek. Which, I mean, Mephisto's got to be like hands on hips, like that one meme. Have you seen like the meme of the guy who's just like, oh, how do I describe, like, what is that meme even? I don't know the name.
I don't know.
Of the meme.
He looks like he's at a football match or something, maybe a soccer match, and he's looking at just like, so like, I can't believe that you did that. He's very disappointed in you, but from a distance. And...
Yes. It's like a full shot of a man, and he's just looking at you like Well, I mean, like he's Mephisto, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to take you to hell," and you're Faust, and you're like, "Ew, no, I don't want to go to hell." But then some pretty lady is like, "Hey, let's go to Hades," and you're like, "Yay!" And Mephisto's just looking at you like, "Really? Like you won't go to my hell, but you'll go to Greek hell? Okay, fine."
Right. Well, Know Your Meme, as it does very well. Know Your Meme does some of the best journalism out there, and they have interviewed this guy, the disappointed soccer fan, the disappointed football fan.
Oh, that's what it's called, disappointed football fan?
Yeah, as in football, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But so, yeah, this man is named Mohammed Sareem Akhtar.
Oh.
And so also known as disappointed cricket fan.
Oh.
Yeah, you could find him, and he has an interview here about how he was, disappointed with.
Oh, here's a picture of him smiling. Oh, that's much better. But you got to admit, his first name is Muhammad?
Yep, like
Okay.
most people.
Yeah. But you got to admit, Muhammad, that one image of you frowning is so funny.
Yeah,
like,
he
make
writes-
money off of that if you can.
He has a tweet here in 2019, loving the meme, guys. Next match is crucial. Hashtag Pakistan Cricket World Cup, etc.
Uh-huh.
But then already in 2019, his profile picture is that picture.
Yes, okay. It's like, you got to own it. You got to be like, if anybody, like anytime you're disappointed,
Right.
Muhammad, just use that. Because it's you. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what happens in cricket. I don't know, so I couldn't possibly tell you what he was disappointed in with the Pakistani cricket team. But yeah, he did not like what they did.
Cricket? Something crumpet. I don't know. What was it? You know what I'm doing, right?
No.
Isn't that what...
something crumpet?
No, Raph says that to Casey Jones or something.
Oh, okay.
Like when he holds up the cricket bat and he's like, cricket, something crumpet. I'm not going to look it up because we're running along.
Okay. Oh, but apparently it's not as complicated as I thought. So it's just the guy on the Pakistani team, Asif Ali, dropped a catch. So there it is. And then,
and he's mad that he dropped a
he's
catch.
like, come on, right? Just an easy error, right? Unforced error.
Yeah. Yeah, you know. But yeah, so that's Mephisto. Is that meme right now?
right.
It's like, you're going to go to Hades. Okay, fine.
Right. What about my hell?
Yeah.
Why are we going to their hell for?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then, okay, in my notes I say, then things get weird, as if they haven't already, right? So there's these earthquakes, right? And no, listeners, the earthquakes aren't sentient and talk about how great they are, like everything else in this fucking thing. They're just earthquakes.
Okay.
Right?
Earthquakes.
But apparently it's because Faust is down in Hades trying to rescue Helen.
Okay.
Right? And the whole mountain just like pops out of nowhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these... Can we say this? Pygmies?
I think you can, yeah. They're mythical. Say that they're mythical pygmies.
Okay, yeah. Mythical pygmy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then these mythical... the thing says pygmies, right?
Mm-hmm.
They show up and they start settling on the mountain, making weapons and armor. And their general orders them to kill a bunch of herons for their feathers, for the helmets, which turns out to be a bad move because an army of revenge-seeking cranes show up.
Okay.
Right? Is heron a type of crane?
They look like cranes to me. I don't know.
Wait, is this like mallard and hen or something like that?
I don't know. No, herons are not cranes, I've been told, but they sure look the same to me. So I would be, I know I'm losing a bunch of street cred out there.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of really hot mermaids who are turning away from me because I don't know the difference between a heron and a crane. But
Right. Yeah. Right. That's what the pygmies said. There was like, oh no, it's a bunch of herons, and the cranes were like, oh, now we were gonna kill you already, but now you're like double dead.
Now you're dead. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Meanwhile, Mephisto's still at it with the Lamii. I guess that's the plural. Even though he says he's like uncomfortable with Greek witches.
Sure.
I think he's just uncomfortable with women who are in total control of themselves.
That's right.
That's what witch stands for, woman in total control of herself, right? Yeah. And the Lamii are like, oh, pick the prettiest of us, right? But every time he picks one, it turns into something else, right? Now the notes, okay, because I was looking at, summaries and everything like that, right? And the summaries are saying that when he picks them, they turn into a broomstick, a lizard, a pine cone on a stick, right? I was under the impression that he was calling them. It's like, oh, this one's skinny as a broomstick.
Yeah, that's how I read it as well.
Yeah, right.
He's like, oh, this one's really attractive, and then get closer, and oh no, she looks like a lizard. She looks like a pine cone. Yeah,
right. She's
that's
got
exactly
a pine cone for a head. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
but I've been wrong about that kind of thing.
No. I think you and I are right.
Okay.
I don't think they turned into literal broomsticks. I think Mephisto's body shaming.
That's what I think is happening. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah. So then
that's
after all,
funnier to me than them using magic against him. I think it's funnier that he's like, oh, I'm really into you. Oh no, I'm not. That seems more in line with Mephistopheles than like him being tricked by low level magic.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, but then after all of that, Mephisto's wandering around. He's lost in some rubble when this mountain nymph points him toward Homunculus, who's trying to figure out how to get out of his vial and become a real boy. Right? And Homunculus tells Mephisto he is following these two ancient Greek philosophers, Anaxagoras, and I guess that would be Thales.
I guess so, or Thales.
Thales, maybe Thales, yeah. That sounds better. Hoping he's tailing Thales, right? Follow those philosophers, right?
Excellent.
Yeah. Hoping that they'll teach him about existence and things. This is Homunculus. Like he wants to learn. Like he thinks this is going to make him human. Is learning from Anaxagoras and Thales.
Yeah.
Right. But Mephisto just tells him it's like he'll have to learn from experience, from his own mistakes. Or is this like oh no, you like real learning is learning from your mistakes. It's a mistake to go after these guys. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, maybe. I was reading something about the reason that they have that conversation with the student earlier is because the student has learned about experience over knowledge, right? And Mephistopheles is about it's about like you learning above your age, et cetera, and the student has learned that the only way to really get knowledge is to experience things instead of being in books.
Right. Yeah. I think that was his whole thing. Is like I wasted my youth like building the persona of a stuffy book learned professor.
Right.
And so it's weird for Mephisto here to be like, oh no, like being the opposite. It's like saying no, like you really learn from experience. But like it's also like he's making a jab. He's like, because Homunculus is like, I want to learn with these two guys, and it's like you're going to learn from your mistakes of trying to learn with these two guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also the critique I think about philosophers in general, sitting around and thinking about what knowledge is
right.
That's the more romantic with a capital R sort of idea of like you can't. Philosophy is overrated. It's about living, and what you feel is correct as opposed to what you reason is correct.
Right. That was like my favorite joke in, I believe it was book 2 of Paradise Lost, was when Satan leaves to go find, the new world. Like all of the angels kind of like, pass the time waiting for him, like, doing, the things that they did up in heaven. And, some of them have like fake fights. Some of them have like, like an Olympic Games. And some of them just kind of like sit on, well, it's not clouds. It's like, like lava rocks or whatever. and philosophize about like, what is pain? What is evil? Right? And it's like, it's funny because it's like you're literally in hell, right? Like what is damnation? Right? Yeah. Yeah, and you notice we don't have philosophers today, folks. It's because they've all become podcasters. Yeah. Oh, no. Okay, yeah. So speaking of philosophers, right? So these philosophers are arguing about how the mountain got there, right? Anaxagoras says it was fire and gas burning billions of miles away.
Right.
But Thales says it was water, right? It's like very, very peaceful, right? So we got fire and gas and water. Homunculus says, hey, I want to evolve, right? And Anaxagoras suggests that he could be king of the mountain creatures, but Thales warns him that the small worlds lead to small deeds. So, like, pretty much, it's like how much can you actually evolve in that little Pokeball?
Yeah, I think so, and that also the world of being a king is small anyway. So he wants to be he wants to be out of this file, but he's not going to find it out there. I think.
Right. Yeah. And I like how that kind of goes with it's like, oh, the world is too small for me, so I have to stay contained in this file. Right. You already knew Homunculus. Like, what do you? Yeah. But yeah, so right then, those cranes attack the pygmies, and Anaxagoras prays to the moon for help. The moon comes down and explodes, raining rocks on everyone.
So that's literal. This feels more. I'm more following what's going on in this act than the last one, where people are playing each other. But so the moon literally blows up. You think?
I don't think so.
That would be quite an event.
Yeah, unless we're in like another, like, oh, this is the ancient Greek moon. Is that what we're doing?
I don't know.
Goethe? Like, this is the moon that has like somebody who lives on it, or who is it?
Who is it? Yeah,
and chases the sun around or whatever, right?
So they suicide bombed the cranes or whatever?
I don't know. I don't know.
But they'll be back tomorrow, I hope, because they got to control the tides.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
Yeah. No, Keenan, this is ancient Greece. The moon doesn't control the tides.
Oh.
The sisters called the tides control the tide. No, I don't actually know. Yeah. But yeah, this is also, the moon is like within our atmosphere, and it's exploding and raining down rocks.
Right, okay, well, R.I.P. moon.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Thales is like, oh no, everybody calm down. Let's go party by the sea. Right? So then Mephisto climbs up the mountain, right? And he finds these, the three witch sisters called, I could never pronounce this name, the Phorcides?
That's how I would say it, sure.
Okay, yeah. These are for folks who might need a refresher, these are the three sisters who share like one eye and one tooth that Perseus met?
Sure.
When he was searching for Medusa, who killed Medusa.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Medusa was killed
by Perseus, yeah.
By Perseus, okay,
yeah,
good.
You got it, you got it, man.
Whew,
you got this.
Yeah. It's ancient Greece. I thought we were talking about the devil, not this ancient Greek stuff. Right? But yeah, so Perseus runs into them. He's like, hey, where's Medusa? And like basically bullies them. It's like, I got your eye. Like, tell me whatever, right? And this is kind of like a mirror to that, right? Because Mephisto meets them. And he notes that they share one eye and one tooth between them, right? And he sweet talks them and convinces them to let him, like, take the form of one of them, but like the way I was reading it, it was like he's like, let me meld with you, let me combine with you.
I thought he's doing the Iggy with them.
Okay. So that's
No?
that's a third option.
Oh, okay. So he needs them. He's shape-shifting into one of them?
Okay. He's either shape-shifting into one of them. He's combining essences with them.
Okay.
Like, so where there's no more Phorcides and there's no more Mephisto, there's just Mephorsto.
Okay, he's like wearing him like an Egger suit.
Like, yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Like, well, Keenan, like he's Daniel Hillard, and they're a wig, a fat suit, and a prosthetic face.
Yes,
Yes.
And he provides his own terrible Scottish accent.
Yes, right? I think that's what's going on. I think they meld, they merge.
Okay, all three of them, though.
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Well, right? I thought he was getting jiggy with them, but maybe not.
Yeah. Well, no, like, because in the sweet talking, he says like, it's like they're like, oh, we only have one eye and one tooth, right? And he's like, well, I have two eyes, and like, so that like that's like, you know, for the three of you, that's like, then each of you has an eye, and it's like that's more, and it's like, so let's merge, right? And then we'll all be like the better for it,
right?
I think is what he's saying, right? Because the whole like the end of this. The whole like thing that Goethe was working up to was now the devil has become a hermaphrodite.
Right.
And it feels like Goethe is trying to make that funny.
Yeah.
Like that's a joke.
Sure.
So the devil has boy parts and girl parts now.
Well, in ancient Greece, right, Hermaphrodite was more of a god, and the fact that they had, both genders in one was seen as something to worship. But in Northern Europe, that and then that culture influences our culture, right? Like that was not seen in that way. That was seen as different and weird and suspect. Right.
So apart from what the Greeks were going for, Goethe is like, isn't this funny?
Right, absolutely.
A man dressed as a woman, as an old Scottish nanny. Isn't that funny?
We're not above that, I think.
Yeah. Right. So that's what's going on. So Mephisto has become, I'm going to say Mephis-Doubtfire.
Okay, I love it.
Because the four cities, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the Mephis-Doubtfire, right? No, he's already made a name for himself. I forgot, right?
I like your name better.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So he calls himself, so Goethe calls him Forcius, right? Which he's a little bit embarrassed about, right?
Because your name is stupid.
Yeah, right? But I'm going to say Mephis-Doubtfire.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Okay. So then we got, I think this is the last bit. Yeah, this is the last scene, right? It's a little bit shorter. So we're by the sea now. It's in the middle of the night with the moon that's not exploded, super high in the sky. And we've got these sirens and they're just chilling on the rocks, singing and playing their flutes, right? What do sirens like sing when there's no guys around? It's like a tree falling in the wood. Like what is,
That's a really good question.
Yeah. I mean, they probably just, talk about their own stuff.
Right. They don't talk about guys.
Yeah. Right. It's the what's the test? The Bechdel test.
The Bechdel test, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And it's just like, hey, so it's like, how's life been? It's like, oh yeah, my work is killing me, but
they talk about work. They talk about what books they've been reading, what they've been watching on
right.
TV, their new exercise plans, how their family's doing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, here's Perseus. Oh, Perseus, you have the abs and
you have abs, and we were hoping you could explain to us the different iterations of Doctor Who.
Oh, please tell us again why men are more fit to rule than women. And then Perseus leaves. He gets whatever he needs. It's like, oh, jeez, thank God. So anyway, yeah. So at work, I was telling Mildred, I don't know sirens' names, folks.
Mildocrates, probably.
Mildocrates, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So yeah. So we're saying it's an act. It's an act that the sirens do. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so we're in the sea, and yeah, the sirens are singing and they're playing their flutes. Thales and our homunculus friend, they show up at the shore, and Thales is like, you should probably talk to Nereus, right? And he's this prophetic sea god who knows everything, right? And homunculus does that kind of like, puts his hand over his eyes to look out, a long distance, and he's like, "There's Nereus here." No,
stop it.
He's like, "I'm only a couple days old, but I've learned jokes from my dad."
Right, my daddy.
Yeah,
Wagner.
But no, homunculus is like, "Yeah, why not?" Right, and he knocks on Nereus's cave door. I didn't know that caves had. I thought that was why it was a cave.
Yeah, if there's a door in the cave, it's a crypt, right? It's a tomb.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Anyway, this is. Oh, please tell us the difference between a cave and a tomb. We're really interested.
Oh, please tell us why it's better to run into a man in the woods than a bear.
Yes,
please.
We promise we'll sit through the whole thing.
You're right, it is so logical.
You're so right, we're incapable of logic. Yeah. And this is in between. It's like while one of them is talking, all the other ones, oh.
That's right.
And they each kind of take up like as they, yeah. It's like tag team, yeah. Okay, but yeah.
And the ship the man is piloting the entire time is just getting closer and closer to the rocks.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting. We should have stayed on the gold standard instead of taking on paper money. Things have gone terribly ever since 2 days ago.
Oh no, please tell us about the importance of bulking and then cutting.
Oh, that one's hitting too close to home, Lester.
Yeah. Anyway. Oh no, you're absolutely right. Pazuzu is from a whole nother pantheon. He shouldn't even be in the story. No, please, spend an entire podcast episode talking about it instead of talking about the movie. No, we couldn't go on without punching ourselves in the balls. Or me specifically. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's a good one to end on.
Okay, good. I like these sirens. Okay,
Yeah, they're nice.
Yeah, of course I do. That's their job. They make you like them.
Yeah. Hey, stop it, sirens. Anyway, cave door. Okay, yeah. So knocking on the cave door. Right. Yeah. And then Nereus appears, and he's super cranky about hearing anything that sounds human, including homunculi. Right. He's got this whole thing about how humans want to be gods, but never actually listen to godly advice. Which fair point.
Sure.
He teacher, what should we do? It's like, oh, you should love everybody and treat everybody, as you would treat yourself. What if they're different in any way, shape, or form?
Or what if they're not? What if they're your brother or your father?
Define. Oh God. Okay. Fucking like this. This is where they started, right? The podcast is like, what is neighbor? What does that mean? I'll tell you my definition. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, so he's like, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go hang with my daughters, right? Those are the nymphs, right? But before he leaves, he's like, hey, if you want to talk about changing your form, go chat with Proteus, right? He's the shapeshifter guy.
Yeah, he's gonna be real hard to stage, but go talk to him.
Yes. Was this Goethe just being like oh, Mr. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, now so famous we got to say your whole name, like your first play was so great, like could you we promise to stage your next one no matter how out there it gets. And he's like, okay,
all right,
yeah. I did hear
hold my stein.
Yeah, right. I did hear somebody saying that the craziness of the second part is on purpose.
Okay.
It's like, so this is that other podcast that I highly recommend, folks, called Seven Heads, 10 Horns.
Right.
And it's kind of like it's this other kind of history of the devil podcast that I didn't know about until after we had started ours. I promise. I didn't know that.
There's room for the both of us. They do very different things. Yeah.
Hell is vast and infinite. Yeah.
They are smart, and we'll figure out why you should listen to us.
Yeah. So yeah, folks. I mean, like if you want some like really really scholarly, educated talk on Faust, on Dante, on Paradise Lost, and all of that stuff. Go to Seven Heads, 10 Horns, and if you want the Mephis-Doubtfire jokes.
They don't do those over there.
No. Now watch, it's all in the episode that I did listen to, and I'm like, oh my God.
Oh God.
They're so much better.
The whole time.
Yeah. But no, like so they're talking about in Seven Heads, 10 Horns, they're saying that this is Goethe making a commentary on how like obsessed with the ancient Greek myths Europe was.
Okay.
Right, like during this time, during the time of writing this, and he's like, so basically what he's doing is like, he's like, and then Faust and the devil went to ancient Greece, and they mingled with Centaur. Oh, what? Now you are now that is too crazy. Yeah. So I think that's what he's doing. He's like, okay, you want ancient Greece in here? Here's ancient Greece with peanut butter and jelly. Here's ancient Greece with steak. Here's ancient Greece with. He's just like, you want to put ancient Greece on everything. Here's ancient Greece with Pop-Tarts.
Right, but that's what a lot of Romanticism is this sort of taking it back from classical thought and like the overreach of people who had rediscovered the Renaissance is this rediscovery of classical thought, but then people were taking it and going to what the Romantics saw as the extreme of like turning those into immutable rules.
Yes.
Like we were talking about the golden rule, the golden ratio, right? And being like, that is a rule that the ancient Greeks invented, and we've been really bad off by not following those rules. That's why we're in these dark ages. So if we get back to these rules of this is how you make something beautiful, this is how you describe music and beauty and philosophy and everything, and then even trying to attach ancient Greek and ancient Roman precepts onto like your relationship with God.
Yeah. Yeah. Folks, this is like This is a show about the history and the evolution of the devil through art and literature. And we have encountered Medusa, I think, 4 times.
That's right.
Because she or at least mention of her, right? Like, because we've had her in, what was it? We've had her in Dante.
Right.
Right, at the gates of Dis. She was in Paradise Lost when Hell was just being made.
Right.
She's in the first Walpurgis Night. Or that's what Mephisto says, right? She's like, no, that's not Gretchen. That's not a vision of Gretchen. That's Medusa, right? That was not the classical Walpurgis Night. That was the non-Greek Walpurgis Night, and Medusa was there, right?
Right, and in the Temple of Solomon, in the not the biblical Temple of Solomon, but in the Lesser Key of Solomon, right?
Oh, right, in the Testament of Solomon.
The Testament of Solomon, yeah. Sorry, we have Medusa there as well.
Well, but she was called what was it? Azabuth. Yeah, right. We had a Medusa-like creature. Yeah. So yeah, it's like we cannot get away from. I mean, Milton, Dante, Goethe, Marlowe. Oh, I guess Marlowe was the only one who didn't have Medusa so far. Right. He barely had any Greek influence. He had Helen of Troy. So
right.
Yeah. So there. Yeah. We go. But yeah. So yeah, we can't get away from it, folks. Every time we think we're out, they keep pulling us back in.
All right, well, we got Proteus here.
Yes, we got Proteus.
And he is a super interesting guy.
Yeah.
You know what Proteus does?
Oh, he's that in the superhero team. He's like shape of.
Yeah, he's just constantly changing shapes. He that's super cool. And then in this version of it, in Goethe's version, he seems to be doing it compulsively. So it's not like Wonder Twins where he's like, oh, we need a bucket of water, so I'm going to turn into a bucket of water. Or we need to get really high, so I'm going to turn into an eagle. He seems to not be able to help it.
Yes, I like that. Yeah, it's almost like it's attached to his emotions or his mood or whatever. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So it's like, he gets really riled up and he turns into a dolphin. Right.
He turns into a dolphin at one point.
Yeah. But no, he actually does.
Yeah.
And in the radio play, they do a really good job, kind of like melding his, the actor's voice with the dolphin. It is something to listen to, folks. Yeah. Listen to that one, not with your headphones, just on speaker, as you're at work, and it'll be fun. Yeah. But yeah, Thales is like, it's like, hey, can you, maybe try to look more human? And Proteus tells Homunculus that if he wants to become real, like a real human, he needs to go out into the open sea because that's where all life started.
Right.
So he's like, hey, you're a tiny human. You're almost a human already, but let's start all the way back to like we got to have you crawl out of the sea. We have to have you be an invertebrate. We have to, all of that stuff. Right.
Yeah, so this is my new favorite stage direction, which is Homunculus mounts the dolphin Proteus.
So, folks, this is why punctuation is important. Homunculus mounts the dolphin, hands on hips, Proteus.
I don't know, but someone has to put Homunculus in Proteus's back for this to work because he lives in a jar. So this is where we're like
not in his little blowhole.
Where else you could have put him?
I mean, yeah, actually, because he's in a bottle, and a bottle is either spherical or cylindrical.
Right.
It's gonna roll off his back.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just somebody, Thales or somebody, just sort of holds him up like a Barbie that doesn't fit in the car you have because it's like an off-brand toy. So you just sort of hold Barbie above the the car and go, here we are, Barbie in the car, vroom vroom vroom.
Yep. And she's like giant compared to the car.
Right. So someone just has to follow Homunculus around and be like, oh yeah, you're riding Proteus, the dolphin Proteus. You're really doing it.
Yeah. But yeah, so Proteus turns into a dolphin, right? And Homunculus hops on for a ride.
Sure.
Again,
I would say in, but okay.
Yeah.
Partially in Proteus.
Yes, right. And Proteus is mythological, so he doesn't need to breathe.
Good.
Right. And as they're going, Homunculus's light is lighting up all the beauty of the waves, and Thales is watching from the shore as Homunculus's flame gets brighter and brighter with passion until boom. He breaks his vial, and his fiery essence just like merges with the waves. And everybody's like, wow, the elements are amazing. So basically, Homunculus finally figured out how to become real by literally becoming one with the ocean. And so I think he's dead.
Okay, so I didn't look it up, so I'm looking forward to, by next week reading if Homunculus just died or not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because that's what the explanations are all telling me.
So what was the point of any of that?
What was the point of Homunculus?
He's just fucking dead. Yeah, why does he become the third character of the play? Just for him to die.
Keenan, the point of Homunculus was to get to Proteus.
Well, I'm really glad we got to Proteus.
We needed that 5 minutes of a guy trying not to turn into a dolphin, but turning into a dolphin.
All right, so let's recap what happened. So
okay, if we can, good luck to us.
So yeah, Homunculus lives in a little vial.
Yeah. Well, even before that.
Oh well, yeah.
I almost said Wagner. Faust faints.
Okay.
Wakes up. No. Like while still fainting,
right.
while still like mid faint. Mephis-Doubtfire kind of like revisits the old study, right? Bumps into Nicodemus. Nicodemus says, "Hey, Wagner's the new Faust."
It's like,
right?
"Fuck you, man, fuck you," right?
Yeah. And then goes to Wagner. Wagner's like, "I'm making babies."
Yeah, this is where the magic happens. This is where I make babies.
Right? And it's like, oh, this is, and Mephisto's excited because he's like, oh, this is Trojan Explosion Volume 10,
right.
But it's not. He's making his own home movies, and it's a little guy
right.
named Homunculus because Wagner's not creative. He's like, it's a homunculus called Homunculus, right? Homunculus means tiny human being.
Right. And so Homunculus...
You can't see me, but I'm smiling. Real weird.
And Homunculus is like, oh, Faust has a problem. So let me suggest that I go with you to solve that because really I am trying to become a real boy.
Right. Yeah. It's like, oh, Faust has a problem.
Right.
Fuck him. What about me?
Right, but he's going with them and pretending that he's there to help Faust out.
Yes.
Problem, right? So then Mephis-Doubtfire and Faust try to solve their problem at classical Walpurgis night.
Yes, they meet either LeVar Burton or Miss Frizzle and take a trip to ancient Greece.
That's right.
And now they're in ancient Greece, and both of those folks have scattered. They're gone.
Right, and they're trying to get some with whatever they can. Right, Faust is trying to get with Helen, but that involves a bunch of learning about Greek culture and all that stuff that he hasn't been with before.
Learning.
Is trying to help Faust learn, but that involves him melding bodies with ancient Greek witches. And so finally Homunculus gets away from all of them somehow, which we never covered, just starts walking around as a bottle. Right. Without Mephis-Doubtfire carrying him. He meets a series of people who get him to Proteus. Proteus turns into a dolphin, says, "Hop in me, bro." Homunculus jumps.
Get in, loser. We're becoming one with the sea.
So he gets partially into Proteus's blowhole and starts lighting up so that when Proteus smiles as the dolphin, his light comes out of his mouth through his bottle teeth. And they're like, "We're doing it, bro. We're doing it." And the light gets bigger and bigger and explodes so that Homunculus dies, blows up into a million pieces. And
isn't this a metaphor for an orgasm?
Proteus just does a couple of backflips and goes, "Yee!" And everyone waves the end of Greece.
Yes.
Yes.
There we go. Waves as in sea waves.
Is the word, yeah.
Yes.
Greece as in the musical Greece.
Right. Which is spelled Greece.
Right. They go into Proteus and Homunculus go together.
You're the dolphin I want.
Like Wap-Papa-Luba, a wap-bam-boom. All right.
There you go.
That's Act 2.
Folks. So once you hand in your grade A essay on Goethe's Faust Part 2, we will accept thanks in the form of a 5-star review. But no.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to see if that has any ramifications whatsoever to what happens in Act 3, but don't tell me yet.
Okay. All right. I promise I won't. All right. Folks, this has been another episode of The Devil's Details. I've been Lester Ryan Clark. You can summon me on all the socials as Lester Ryan Clark.
That's really the end of this episode.
That is really, the end.
That's really what happened in this act. That's really how the show ends.
That's it. That's
all
it.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been Keenan Diaz.
Wait, now you're... Is there more that I missed?
No, that's exactly what happens.
You're saying it like really? You're going out wearing that?
That is really what
and you got your hands on your hips like the disappointed football meme guy.
Like Muhammad, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All
yes.
right. Well, I've been Keenan Diaz. You can invoke me on Instagram and Letterboxd as Howdy Keenan.
Yeah. Look at what Act 2 of Part 2 of our second dip into Faust has done to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. If you want more of this, find more of our shows and other really cool podcasts at truestory.fm, or feel free to drop us a message at bananaforscale@gmail.com. That's MAIL. We got our Facebook listener group, Banana for Scale. That's a community for all of our shows, including this one. It's a private group, but just request to join, and we'll let you in. If you want more, consider joining us at truestory.fm/join and look for Banana for Scale. That's us. You get bonus episodes of all of our shows, access to our Discord, and you get your episodes a week early. Pretty cool. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? We're not even asking for your souls. Just give us a 5 pentagram rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show. That and sharing the show by word of mouth or on social media helps our little podcast grow and find more cool people like you. I'm hearing you giggling. What?
Sorry, I was reading a summary of what happens in Act 2 because I was like, that can't be it. But yeah, yeah, that's what Wikipedia says. Guided by the sea god Proteus, the Homunculus is initiated into process, becoming fully human, but his glass flask shatters and he dies.
Is this it? Did one of the authors finally get us?
Sorry, I was trying to, you're finishing the show, and I'm like, I think I can close this window. I can close this window. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see what this one says happens.
It's like the electronic form of a siren, and it's like, no, come read this. It's really interesting. Yeah.
All right, sorry, you were ending the show.
Yes. All right. Folks, until next week, love and hisses. Mwah. Please come back and tell us more about your opinions about pregnancy and menstruation. We think you as a man has a lot of insight and could really educate us over here. Please come guide your ship over here.
Oh, that's so interesting about the changes to the designated hitter rule and how that messes up all of the stats. You can't really compare MLB stats before that to those afterwards. I never thought about that.
Because I'm a woman. But please go on. Then they're sailing over to the crag with with all the sirens on it, right?
Right.
But the ship kind of like lets loose its seamen a little bit too prematurely, and they kind of just like fall into the water and drown, right? And they're still a little bit too far away from the rock where all the sirens are. But you just hear one of the sirens like as you're drowning, you're like, that's totally normal. That lots of sailors do that. We know notice you're not flying your colors. It's only half-mast. That's also totally normal. No, that's our fault for some reason.